down against Terry. Kick out Schwartz up top for three. Fires right between the eyes. Drives, kicks right side, Parquet. Look pass out top, Siebert, open three. And he found the bottom of the cup. He came out at him. Rebound away to Colorado. Up court to McKinley. Pulls up, three ball on the way. Right between the eyes. Some great images in a historic comeback for the Colorado Buffaloes, including a big three by McKinley Wright, as the Buffaloes sweep the weekend over the Bay Area schools and knock off Stanford, coming back from 16 down in the second half. Hi, everybody. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. This guy here was outstanding in that ball game. We're going to talk more about that Stanford game in just a moment. I don't know if you remember the game on Thursday. Knocked off Cal to start the weekend, picked up win number 18. So it's good to come back home and get a win on your home court, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's always good to come here and play in front of this wonderful crowd.
By the way, did I mention this is Tyler Bay? I think you guys probably know that in Buff Nation, but I'm not sure I said that. Coming in off the road games last week, the split against Los Angeles, it was important to come back home. You guys are fighting for a Pac-12 championship, and it was important to come home and get a win over Cal, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it was definitely important, especially home. It's home. You got to win home and then take care of games on the road, which we didn't do, but I feel like we definitely took care of things here.
It was good to see you against the Bears get back into the rebounding groove. I mean, it had been a couple games since you had a double-digit rebounding game. You had 20 and 10 in that ball game. You were very active on the glass. You're always a great rebounder. Was there a considered effort like, okay, I got to get back in and really start rebounding again?
Yeah, honestly, I've been talking to my AU coach, and we've been talking about how like I'm not myself. I've been thinking about offense more than like defense, and I just wanted to get back to myself, and it felt pretty good today.
Yeah, and the way you've always been defensively, and the way you rebound, though, there's a natural inclination for you to be able to do that. It's kind of a comfort zone, isn't it, for you to kind of get back to that?
Yeah, I love it. So.
Yeah. Buffaloes get a great victory here. This guy, by the way, creeping up on 1,000 points. We'll talk more about that here in just a minute. As the Buffs get the victory over Cal, followed by the victory over Stanford. We're going to talk about the historic comeback by the Buffaloes over the Stanford Cardinal. Right now, let's look at some post-game and some reaction after the victory over Cal on Thursday night.
Well, so good. The turnaround jumper. While you drive the lane and don't go dumper.
Guys, we get 4 more of these opportunities in this building. Let's make the most of it tonight. Let's go.
We need movement with our bodies, and we need movement with the ball. We can't bounce it and just go side to side.
All right, guys, here's the deal. You got to learn how to win, okay, in different ways. We've got to move the ball, and you have to move your bodies. It doesn't matter if they're in man. It doesn't matter if they're in zone, okay? Move your body, move the ball, okay? But we gotta take every possession like it means something. And we didn't start like that. We didn't start like that.
Family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Family. Let's go, guys. 20-minute game. 20-minute game now.
Deshaun Schwartz high above the rim. In the corner, Schwartz for three, right between the eyes from downtown.
For some reason, we weren't ourselves tonight defensively. The sign of a program, okay, that has gotten to where we've gotten is a somber locker room after a league win. That tells us what we expect of ourselves. It's not always like that after wins. Tonight it is, because we know we're so much better than the way we played. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
You already know I'm in there.
I already know you were there.
So it was a happy locker room after the game on Thursday over the Cal Golden Bears. We continue with Tyler Bay here in the Buffalo Stampede. This game against Stanford, I'm not sure how you kind of get your head around this thing. First half, Buffs shoot 29%. You're down by 11 at the intermission. You didn't play horrible defensively, but not as great as you normally had. You go down by 16 with 8:15 to play in the second half, and then outscore them 58-25 down the stretch. How does a team turn midstream like that and explode like that for that many points in the second period?
We weren't ourselves on defense today. we didn't start like we wanted to. But yeah, we weren't making shots too, so like everything didn't go right for us in the first half, and I think we picked it up in the second half for sure.
So the Buffaloes are down by 16. We had a scary moment in this ball game with about 16 and a half to play, 16-28 I think it was exactly. Evan Batty on a break got into Oscar Da Silva, knocked him down. It was a heck of a collision. Da Silva bounces his head off the court, goes out cold, ends up splitting his head. The last we had heard, he was going to be fine, concussion and a laceration on his head. Evan got emotional. McKinley got, well, probably everybody out there got emotional. That was a tough circumstance in that game, wasn't it?
No, it was very tough. It was very emotional. After that, you know, the coach from Stanford told us we just got to keep playing for him, and yeah, it was a difficult time.
As hard as you guys compete out there, and this was a moment you don't see. I've been doing this for 30-some years. You don't see this. The two coaches, all 10 players in the court, got together just behind us out here at center court. Take us into that huddle. What was being said out there?
The coach of Stanford just wanted us to keep playing hard. We got to pray for Oscar, you know, and I feel like that he's a great player. They're definitely something different with him, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We just talked about keep playing, and we just prayed about it.
Well, the guys certainly did. They reacted, again, outscoring Stanford 58-25 the rest of the way after that. It gets contagious, doesn't it, when the ball starts going? And I thought McKinley really kind of took over and kind of got you guys started there after that injury.
Yeah, that's McKinley. That's what he does. But I feel like we play on defense, we'll be great. We play as a team, we'll be great.
As you and I sit here right now, the Buffs are in first place in the Pac-12. How's that sound?
That's an amazing feeling. It's my first time since I've been here, so.
I love it. Hey, congratulations.
Appreciate you.
All right, Tyler Bay, the junior out of Las Vegas, and the Colorado Buffaloes are now 19-5, the best 24-game start in program history, as they head to play the Oregon schools next week. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. When we come back on the other side, assistant coach Bill Greer is going to join us here in the Stampede. Out the parquet, right side, Batty for three. He fires right between the eyes. Right side to Delaire. He tries, nice down the lane. Shot rejected by Bay. Now the defender is back. Backs his way down. Delaire, kick out left corner. Schwartz for three. Right between the eyes. From down to Keita Schwartz. Shot clock at 5. Drives in his rim. The hoop left hand. And layup is up and good. And the shot. Side, Parquet fakes to the short corner. Fires from 15. Shot won't go. Kasunas gives up the offensive rebound. Batty, the hook shot is up and in. And he just lit this place on fire. Well, there's some great images. The Colorado Buffaloes 16-point comeback in the second half, and they end up knocking off Stanford at the event center back here in the Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Bill Greer, he had the scout on this one. Did your scout specify you had to come back for 16 in the second half? How'd that work out?
No, I didn't have that in the game plan. You know, give credit to Stanford.
Yes.
They came in, they were down a starter. They came in and went right at us offensively, and they really locked us down in the first half. Had us frustrated, and I thought our frustration on offense affected us at the defensive end. And it took us a while in the second half before we kind of got a rhythm going, and then once we did, we really started rolling offensively.
Now, Stanford's got a good defensive team, make no mistake about it. They came in number 1, in fact, in field goal percentage defense in the Pac-12. But the Buffs weren't hitting shots. You got some good looks in that first half.
We did. We had some good looks. I think that contributed to our frustration, and then we missed free throws to compound it. And so we run the right action, we get the ball to the right spot, you get fouled, and then you miss the free throw. Now you had to go down and guard them, and their stuff is running at a very fast pace. It's hard to guard.
Yeah. Well, the Buffs were down by 11 at the half, went down by 16. Then the injury, very scary moment in this ball game. That collision we talked about with Tyler Bay. Evan Batty into Oscar Da Silva, went down. I mean, it was an awful. And by the way, here's the good news. You just saw Oscar before he came over and sat down with us.
Yeah, Coach Coleman saw him in the back and talked to him and said he was fine and talking, and so he's going to be okay.
Take us to the bench at that point, because it got very emotional. Evan was a wreck. Other guys were crying, and quite a moment when the two teams got together at mid-court. What was being said to the team over there?
I don't know if I've ever seen two teams. I've seen two teams kneel, like it happens in football, but I haven't seen two teams huddle up like that, and just shows great, I don't know, sportsmanship, and shows what our guys are about. They're about the right things.
Yep. Buffalo's went on a heck of a run. We'll talk about that on the other side. By the way, I want to show you some behind the scenes, though. What a huge victory by the Buffaloes over the Stanford Cardinal here in Boulder.
No personnel, talk on substitutions. Bench, be ready.
Okay, let's don't play 35 minutes. Let's make sure this 40 minutes we're locked in.
Make them work for everything they got. Guys, it's about Colorado. This is our building. It's our house. Let's go protect it.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, hey, I don't need no co-star. Been gone like so far. Plus I'm catching all the rays from the sun. Give me power like I'm solar. You cannot catch the drip, yeah. That is unless you a coaster. And we up, yeah, way up, yeah. Don't put this on a poster.
We're gonna win this game. All right, there's a lot of time left. But we gotta play with some energy, some emotion. Play with confidence. Play with toughness.
Right side, Parquet, look past out top, Seaward, open three, and he found the bottom of the cup. Lucas has hit 2 big threes in a row. 16-point deficit overcome by Colorado.
Dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me?
There's some great visuals from in and around the ball game as the Buffs knock off the Stanford Cardinal, improved to 19-5 in the season, 8-3, still in first place in the Pac-12 conference, heading to take on the other team that's tied with them in the first place, that being the Oregon Ducks. 58 points in the last 18 minutes of that ball game.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought that based on our first half.
Oh my goodness, no, not at all. But shots start falling, and I thought McKinley really kind of took things over.
Yeah, he really didn't. But that's what he does. You know, he senses the moment, and he's just got. He's got a way about him that he knows how to take over a game and the right time,
yeah.
You know, that's why he's special.
Evan Batty, and I said this during the radio broadcast at Colorado Basketball Network. After the injury, he was an emotional wreck out there. I said, Evan is as big and imposing a guy. He's a guy who won't walk down a dark alley with you, right, late at night. But he's got about the most tender heart you're going to find.
Yeah,
how'd you guys get him back going?
Absolutely. You know, Coach talked to him, and his teammates really helped him. And he was teared up even while he was out there playing.
Yes.
He kept tearing
He got the
up.
putback. We just thought he was crying running down court.
Yeah, and that's it shows his character, his toughness. I mean, that was hard for him, but thank goodness he did come back because he really helped us spark that run.
Yeah, Buffs, by the way, went 8 of 8 from downtown to second half after going 3 of 13.
That'll help your offense.
That helps your offense a little bit when that kind of stuff starts happening as well. Well, you guys got to go on the road now. You got an Oregon team coming up. You beat them here last time. 2 top teams in the Pac-12. Oregon State, that didn't go well last time.
No,
it's a challenging road trip coming up.
Yeah, well, they're all challenging, but this road trip, you got a team that's obviously one of the top 10, 15 teams in the country that we beat here, so you know they're going to want a piece of us there. And then, you know, an Oregon State team that's given us some trouble, so it's going to be a tough road trip.
Yeah, this conference right now is crazy up top.
It is crazy. Anybody can beat anybody right now.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a good second half scouting report.
Yeah, the first one wasn't so good.
No, second half, you're outstanding. That's Bill Greer, assistant coach for the Colorado Buffaloes as they get the victory over Stanford. We're going to take a time out here in the Stampede. When we come back, the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator for the Buffs football team, after recruiting is all wrapped up, Darren Cheverini is going to join us. There we see some winter workouts by the Colorado Buffaloes football team as we get ready for 2020. Spring ball just around the corner back in the Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, along with the assistant head coach for the Buffaloes, Darren Cheverini. Boy, it's that time of year, isn't it? You guys are sniffing it already.
We are. We're excited. You know, we've been in there having meetings already as a staff, you know, obviously full staff, and then obviously offense and defense trying to get ready for spring ball.
Well, the Buffs just wrapped up the recruiting period. That's such a big thing for you. In fact, by the way, we're sitting by a guy that by Rivals was named one of the top 25 recruiters in the country. That's a nice feather in your cap.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor. It just, you know, that shows that they appreciate all your hard work, you know, developing relationships and signing, you know, really good players. And at the end of the day, we always talk about as a staff, Coach Tucker talks about it. You want to be a great coach, have great players, and that's what we're trying to do.
What is the key to being a great recruiter?
You know, people ask me that a lot, and what I tell them is this: it's about relationships. It's about getting to know them beyond the football field. Because when a young man's getting recruited, everybody tells them how great they are, but get to know who they are behind the scenes. Who are they as a person? What do they like to do? What are their hobbies? You know, how's their family? I think what I try to do is just try to build that relationship early on, and then football is just a byproduct of what we do.
And it's going to be a little bit about, if I could borrow the word relentless that we talk about on this football team, just being consistent, right?
Being consistent, you know, not trying to be hit or miss with them, always being consistent week in and week out, day in and day out. I mean, I probably hit those guys every single day, and I know some guys probably get tired of it, but, you know, they have to be able to trust you as a coach and you as a person if they want to come play for you.
You know, so we talked a lot about, obviously, the early signing period, but this last Wednesday when the Buffs nailed down 3 final guys, you feel good about what you guys did?
Feel great. I mean, Ashad Clayton's a heck of a football player. He's explosive. He's dynamic in space. You know, I think that he brings a different element to that run game that we're looking for in that explosion part of it. You know, obviously, Jaylee Stacks, a local product. You know, and Will England from Cleveland, who, you know, is a really, really good football player. So I think we added to our class for sure.
Jaylee Stacks, somebody said, he's a pile mover.
He is.
Right?
I mean, he's a thick guy, 225 pounds, moves the pile, gets first downs, gets the tough yards.
Yeah, the football team's got spring ball just around the corner. By the way, coming up this weekend, the CU women's basketball team's got a reunion for the 1994-95 team. They're also giving out the Jane Wall Award to a great Buffalo. Aaron Carson joined us, who played for the Buffaloes back in the late 1980s and is a recipient of the Jane Wall Legacy Award. We'll talk more about Jane in a moment. Well, congratulations. First of all, that's a great honor.
It is an amazing honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jane Wall, in fact, the first women's athletic director or senior administrator for the Buffaloes, way back when women's athletics was going from club sports to varsity sports. You came in right kind of at the tail end of when the transition was happening. That was a pioneering time in women's athletics, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I must say I'm just old enough and just young enough that I didn't really remember that at the time.
You probably did, right?
It was, yeah, I'm just a little bit beyond that pioneering feeling, where I was lucky enough to just come into it expecting to be treated like everyone else.
Sure.
And I don't think that at that point I had the true appreciation of what was really happening and how profound the experience for me was, and how unique it was, and how near to the beginning of this journey for women's sports.
Well, I suppose you're an 18-year-old at the time, and what do you know? You want to play college basketball right at that point.
Exactly.
In time. You know, Aaron was the captain of the 1988 CU women's basketball team, the first NCAA tournament team for the Buffs. When you think about what college athletics overall, but women's athletics in 1988 was like compared to 2020, I mean, think of the changes.
It's mind-blowing, and I think that at the time, we really didn't know what was possible. Yeah. And then the prolific players and the training and the coaching and technology and sport and just kept moving and moving and moving. And to watch these young women now, it's really mind-blowing. It is, they are smooth and silky and so athletic and so strong. And, you know, I want to get out there. I got to say, I would love to go measure up and see how my game could rock.
It's going to be a great weekend for the CU women's basketball program. We continue with the assistant head coach for the Buffaloes on the football side, Darren Cheverini. So spring ball just around the corner. You feel good about what you guys did during winter conditioning?
Yeah, we definitely made strides. You know, in winter conditioning, Coach Wilson and his staff does an unbelievable job with our kids, just being consistent with them, pushing them day in and day out. And you know, the culture that Coach Tucker has brought here has really stepped up a notch. And you saw that at the end of last year, and I think you're seeing that in our spring football conditioning right now, going into spring ball, and then you'll see it in the fall.
You've got such a great room for that receiving core, obviously. LaVisca Chenault leaves early for the NFL. I know you're going to miss a guy like Tony Brown and the leadership and kind of professionalism that he you know, there's a void behind him.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, Tony Brown had a great year, you know, really good junior year and an unbelievable senior year. I expect him to get drafted this year as well, along with LaVisca. And yeah, you're losing some vital pieces, but you got guys like Katie Nixon back. Daniel Arias, I think it's his turn to step up. Maurice Bell, Levante Chenault, you know, Jalen Jackson, Dimitri Stanley. That room is very talented. We've done a good job of recruiting that room and developing him, and it's time for the next guy for his turn.
How about some of the recruits that you bring in wide receiver? I mean, there's some very impressive-looking guys there.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Rice, obviously, he's got legendary bloodlines, being Jerry Rice's son. I mean, he's a 6'3", 210-pound kid that can run and catch. Keith Miller's a 6'5", 210-pound kid. And then you got Montana Lamonius Craig, and you got Chris Carpenter, who are both really, really good football players. It's going to be a fun fall camp for sure.
That's a good room for you. Good luck this spring.
Thank you.
All right. right, that's assistant head coach Darren Cheverini. As the Buffs are just around the corner, going to jump into spring practices. Coming up next, Neil Welk, my partner at CUBuffs.com, joins us.
As we welcome you back to the Armory here in Washington Heights, New York City, getting ready for the men's 3,000 meters. Setting himself well with a lap to go. The guy, Joe Klecker, got second with a storming run home. That was a massive finish from Klecker to grab second there. And did you?
Now, it's been a couple of good weeks for Joe Klecker, the outstanding Colorado track and cross-country runner for the University of Colorado. We just saw him in the Milrose Games in New York. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, Neil Welk, the contributing editor of CUBuffs.com. Boy, Klecker, Danny Jones. We've had some pretty good performances here the last couple of weeks in track.
I tell you what, the kids that Mark Wetmore keeps bringing in are just terrific, and Joe Klecker and Danny Jones will go down as some of the best in CU history, and that's a pretty good list when you start talking about the history of Colorado track and field and cross country. But yeah, great weekend from Joe Klecker, great weekend from Danny Jones. I think Joe ran the second fastest 3,000 in CU history, right behind a guy named Adam Gautzer, who only won an NCAA title, was in the Olympics. So Joe's in pretty good company there. Danny Jones, 1 week after running the fastest 800 in CU history, beating Mary Decker, she runs the second fastest mile in CU history behind, what was her name? Jenny
Simpson?
Yeah, Jenny Behringer Simpson. Again, pretty good company. So, yeah, terrific weekend for them at the Milrose Games.
Yeah, that record, by the way, that Danny, when she broke the record of Mary Decker Slaney, she ultimately ended up, was one that stood for 42 years. Long time. So one of the great performances, and we expect that from this track program and this cross-country program here at the University of Colorado. All right, football finally wrapped up recruiting, and Mel Tucker added 3 more bodies. One of them was a highly regarded running back out of New Orleans, Ashad Clayton, and put a nice camp on a recruiting class for 2019-20.
Yeah, that was. And again, we've talked about that, last week a little bit. Mel Tucker believes in winning the fourth quarter, and when you can sign 3 guys like that on the quote second signing day of the year, it's pretty strong fourth quarter, because those are guys that a lot of other programs wanted. Mel Tucker went head to head with people all over the nation to get a guy out of Louisiana, got a guy out of Ohio, got a guy out of Colorado. So he went nationwide to get people that he needed, and he protected his home turf, and that's exactly what you want your coach to do.
Yeah, Florida made a strong push for the running back Ashad Clayton right before the final signing day. All right, women's basketball has been kind of a tough stretch here for the University of Colorado women. They just dropped a couple of ball games at the Washington schools last week. I guess this is the reality of being, and J.R. Payne's program is really getting a lot better and really evolving, but this is the reality of playing in the Pac-12.
When you're playing in the best conference in America, it's tough to make headway, but they are. They're more competitive, they're playing well, and I still think that with the young people they have on that team, especially point guard Jalen Sherrod, that's a team that's going to continue to get better, and I think we're going to continue to see good things out of women's basketball.
And lacrosse's season is also underway this spring and has gotten off to a great start, but had a tough trip against another nationally ranked team this past weekend down in Florida.
Now in front, one-on-one, Chloe Willard.
Yeah, to start off the season, we played Florida. Obviously, they're a great team, and we haven't been successful against them in the past. They're a very competitive team, so just being able to get our younger players some experience against a tough and physical team like Florida will just make us better in the long run. So it didn't go our way this time, but we can definitely learn from this and move forward from it. After the game, we were obviously all a little disappointed, but there were some positives that we can take out of it, and we just have to learn to be able to play when things aren't going our way and just control what we can control and be able to execute in the final minutes of a game. I think all over the board we had lots of different players contributing. Zoe came in and had a hat trick in her first ever game, so that was super awesome. And just this year moving forward, we have to just make sure that everyone can be a threat, because that's how we're going to be successful if every single person is dodging, scoring, and finishing plays. I think before Harvard, we just have to work on playing a full 60 minutes and working together and being able to work when we're tired. Things aren't always going to go perfect, but we have to figure out how to adjust and adapt into being able to finish every single play we start.
Well, it's the second year in a row that Ann Elliott and the CU lacrosse team have opened up against Florida. They lose that one by 1 goal in that contest. But what a program she's built here in a very quick amount of time.
I tell you what, that's one of the great stories of Colorado athletics over the last 6-8 years is what Ann Elliott Wood has done here right away. Built them into a national contender all the time. You know they're going to compete for a Pac-12 title. You know they're going to be ranked in the top 20, and you know they're going to be in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. That's just become the expectation for Colorado lacrosse, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, without question. Next up, the Buffs, by the way, will be entertaining Harvard. That's a week from Friday at Kittredge Field. Men's basketball, right now as we sit here, sitting all alone atop the Pac-12 conference after an emotional game. We talked about that earlier in the show, where they come back from 16 down the second half to beat Stanford. This is hands down Tad Boyle's best team, and it might be a Pac-12 champion.
It has a great chance. I mean, they're going up to Oregon to play for the Pac-12 lead. They've got they're the leading team in the Pac-12 right now. They can extend that lead a little bit, but it's a big road trip. They need to get a win up there. They've got Oregon State coming up right after that Oregon game. So Tad Boyle has his team playing really well. They're a lot of fun to watch. They've got 2 more home games. I hope people want to come out and watch them.
I've always joked Neil is the president of the Nate Landman fan club. I'm the president of the Tad Boyle fan club. I don't think we appreciate him in mass as Buff fans as much as we should.
This is a guy, again, he's got a top 25 program. They always play well. They're always in contention at the end of the year. And what Tad does, and he does it in the right way. And in college basketball today, that says a lot, doing it the right way.
Without question. He's Neil Welk, CUBuffs.com. Always read his coverage at the website. I'm Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We put a wrap this week on the Buffalo Stampede. We'll talk to you next time.